So happy to be joined by former UFC champion and now ambassador for the United Fight League. It is Frank Mir joining me here on the program. Frank, how are you?
Good, man. Great to have me. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to have you on here, Frank. Really appreciate the time. Let's start first with UFL. A lot of great things going on with this promotion. The health insurance. There's a lot of really great opportunities for fighters. How did you get involved with this, or people might be wondering?
Well, Harrison Rogers and I, we developed a friendship. We met at a soccer event here in Vegas, and at that first point, we were actually more political. And he talked about probably doing using a fight to raise funds as a fundraiser. And as he got involved and I started talking through the ins and outs of the fight world, he couldn't believe some of the things. I was like, okay, well, we got to do this. He's like, wait a minute. The fighters don't have insurance. They don't have this. They don't have that. I'm like, no, it's just how it is. Because what if someone gets hurt on the way up to the fight? Well, they fake it until they fight. They usually try to say they hurt themselves there to get the insurance to pay for it. And so he started wanting to step into this world of mixed martial arts, which he's a fan of, having a few amateur fights himself, but that wasn't the route he took in life. So being a businessman, he's like, wow, I think I can get back into sport, maybe not as a fighter, not as a coach, or not as a, in that form, but maybe as a promoter and leave a better world for the fighters where they currently have.
What has been the response like? Because I know this is something fighters have wanted for years, and it's coming to fruition with this promotion. It seems like a lot of fighters would be into this.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are one of the biggest issues that we face as a fighter, and most of our injuries don't occur during the fight. Having insurance is huge. I mean, think about it. Anybody, you go home and your whole career is hinged upon the fact you don't get hurt, and hopefully you don't get hurt bad enough that it affects the fight. Guys, it affects their training. It stresses them out. So everybody that we've talked to that's joined up, and it's like, man, this is such a weight off my shoulders that if I hit it, they twist something leading up to a fight. Now they can actually go to the doctor beforehand, don't have to lie about it, and maybe they can fix it and it doesn't turn into a permanent injury. It doesn't turn into something catastrophic because they're not faking it until they get to the fight. Now it's like, all right, well, if you would have said something 2 weeks ago, this was rehab. Now it's surgery.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that, hopefully we'll see more of going forward in MMA. Such an important thing to have, that, health insurance, which is great. Let's talk about the upcoming card here, the third card that you guys are putting on. Great main event here. Shane Sobnuski taking on Ty Gorder, a rematch, actually. So a little bit of a grudge match coming into this one. How excited for you for this fight to headline the card?
Yeah, both these guys are really high-skilled fighters. It's great to watch. And Shane is I'm going to be honest with you, the first time they fought, I was probably thinking that Ty was going to take it, leading up. And the fight starts off that way. The first fight was a barn burner. Shane comes out, Ty lands a phenomenal shot. Shane's going down. He puts his hand down on the mat. It's like, all right, this guy's going down. Somehow he says no, and he stands up. And usually when you get rocked with a shot like that and you refuse to go down, it's just going to be a highlight reel knockout. You're just going to get hit harder because now it's like, all right, you got hit the first time when you were full capacity of your facilities. Now you're standing, you're wobbled, and usually it's going to be pretty bad. And it was pretty bad, but going the other direction. He started hit Ty with the left hook that completely shocked him. I remember walking in the cage looking at Ty sitting there and I'm in disbelief. So there's a lot going on in this fight as far as redemption, as far as coming back to Ty. And Shane also, too, because, I've been in his position before. People sit there and they say, "Oh, you won that fight," but I was luck. You caught the guy. It just happened. So it's not just he has nothing. Also, it's a rematch. Ty obviously has to overcome the loss, but Shane sitting there putting a stamp on it that no, I am better than you. That wasn't a fluke.
And there's a lot of really good matchups on this card. One I'm kind of zoning in on as well is the Brandon Lewis and Justin Wetzel fight. Obviously, Wetzel, a training partner, Justin Gaethje over there at Team Elevation. Brandon Lewis, we saw him on Contender Series. We got Claire Guthrie on the card. We saw her on The Ultimate Fighter. What are some fights or maybe some fighters that you're really excited to see compete on this event?
No, I'm actually it's funny now because being a commentator and trying to be there, I try not to focus too much on one guy.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think it becomes biased in my commentary, So I've tried to stay pretty neutral and all. There's really not a fight I'm not interested in. Everything's just everybody there we match up very well. So Pierre's good at that to where they're not one-sided. Sometimes you see matchups, you're like, man, is this somebody pissed off the promoter, huh? They're being left out of the rules.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a great card. And we got a lot of big things going on in MMA right now. You're a former UFC heavyweight champion. The current heavyweight champion, well, I guess I should say the former champion, has left the UFC, Francis Ngannou, going over to box Tyson Fury. How surprised were you that Francis ended up getting this fight? Because he bet on himself, and it looks like it's going to work out for him.
Not as a surprise. I think some people would think, just because right now the Conor McGregor Mayweather made a lot of money, and I think boxers saw that, And now, what an easy fight for a boxer, and not that it's an easy fight, but when you step into their realm, this is, we're decathletes, we do everything. And now you're asking a decathlete who's a gold medalist, phenomenal decathlete like Francis Ngannou, and you say, hey, but we only want you to do the javelin. And now you're going to go against the world champion in javelin. It's not really, it's like, all right, it's going to be a very difficult uphill battle for Francis to be able to move from somebody like a Tyson Fury. So for boxing, they say, hey, man, it's not hard to talk the boxer into it. You're going to get this guy come in who's not a professional boxer who does boxing, but MMA, and it's a version of it. And we're going to make as much money, if not more money, than fighting really the number one guy that we could fight. So on their part, it's not as a shock as possible to open up. It's not as unbelievable. And Francis, to them, it's so much money that they can kind of sit there and go, well, I'm not a boxer. And Francis does hit hard. There's always a chance he can catch Tyson. I mean, if you say right now who I'm betting on, I'm like, well, Fury, I think he's one of the best heavyweight boxers that's ever existed. He's elusive. He's hard to hit. He's just, he has great strategy, and he has great fortitude. I mean, we've seen him get knocked down by Wilder and get back up. For it to be the debut boxing match for Francis, and you're facing the best boxer probably ever, that's an uphill battle. But Francis' power is ungodly. I mean, he's the hardest hitting human being in the world. If he touches you, it can be the end of the night.
And do you think he has a chance? He's got a puncher's chance. We know, we've seen that in all of his fights. The guy hits like a truck. Do you think he has a chance in this fight?
No, because obviously everybody has a chance, especially him. He has the power to land a shot. I just think that, I've already seen Tyson nullify Wilder, who's also an extremely hard puncher, who's 6'7" and has had 40 boxing matches, I think, at the time when they fought. And so he knew how to nullify power. He knew how to sit there and go, hey, the first round, I'm not going to box with you. I'm going to keep jumping on you and hugging you and clinching with you. I'm going to wear your shoulders out. I'm going to null that power. And if we've seen a chink in Francis's armor, it's endurance. He's so much just a fast twitch, explosive power athlete that it came at a price. You can't make the perfect Madden character. They put his power at 100, now the endurance drops. And so I don't think that Tyson's going to go out and box him in the first 3 rounds. I think he doesn't even care if he loses on scorecard in the first 3 rounds. He's just going to hug the hell out of Francis, and then after that, now Francis is going to be tired. And I think it's going to be a disaster for him. And then even if he does land a shot, I don't think it's going to be of any consequence to Fury. And Fury, he's also punching up. Francis never really had to do that, to punch up at a guy who's, the height of Tyson Fury. That changes the power angle of how you're throwing. If you're like, I can grab a world-class baseball player, who throws 100 miles an hour. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I want you to throw 10 feet above the mound. He's not going to throw with the same intensity. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's different. That's a different angle. I don't have the same, momentum and leverage.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Of course, John Jones is the champion now. He's fighting Stipe Miocic on that card in New York in November. Do you think Stipe can win? How do you sort of see that fight playing out with how good John looked in his last fight against Cyril Gane?
Yeah, I mean, Stipe's a great wrestler. I mean, well-rounded mixed martial arts. So that's probably why he has the record for the most title defenses. He's probably one of the best, most well-rounded heavyweights we've ever had. Great boxing, great wrestling. I mean, his submissions are a little, to be lacking, but that's a typical heavyweight. Against John, it's just gonna be hard for him. I think. I mean, obviously, he doesn't have crazy one-punch knockout power. So if he catches him, it's like, as far as striking, building elusiveness, you would think that Gane would have been a much more difficult fight. And we saw how John, once again, uses his long kicks to keep you at bay. And the minute you make a mistake, boom, it grabs you. And I think that, if they were going to wrestle each other, I've trained with John. I've trained with people that are world-class wrestlers who've trained with John. If John had gone a different route in life and he'd gone to like a Division I college, he'd been an NCAA champ in heavyweight, and he would be the Olympic gold medalist. Not a doubt in my mind. That's how good of a wrestler he is. And so with that being said, he grabs and snatches Miocic up, and then just Miocic is fighting off his back the whole time. And I've never seen Miocic there. I don't think that he's not used to being there. And I think that, we've seen that he obviously just if I had to take a glimpse, he doesn't like submission grappling. He doesn't train that because every time he had Francis in a position, even when Francis was gas, he never even once tried to initiate a choke. Never once looked for any kind of way to just damage a joint. It was just ground and pound. So that thought goes, all right, well, if you don't do it from the top, you probably don't do it from the bottom. So you're probably going to be a fish out of water when John puts you on your back.
Did you happen to catch UFC 291 last weekend? And if so, did you happen to see the main event with Justin Gaethje knocking out Dustin Poirier?
No, I haven't watched it yet. It was funny because I had an event we were doing, and I was trying to look at my phone the whole time. And I finally, even my wife was asking me, which is funny. She was interested in the fight, which isn't as common. Usually, my wife, if it doesn't have anything to do with her or me, she doesn't want to hear about it. And she was like, "Hey, which one won?" And I was like, "Gaethje, which one's that? The one that kicks?" I mean, yes, the one that kicks a lot. All right, cool.
Yeah, there you go. Check it out. Do you think Conor McGregor will return? Obviously, he's coaching the Ultimate Fighter. It looked like him and Michael Chandler were going to fight, but we don't know if he's in the USADA pool next. What's your gut feeling? Do you think Conor will fight with all that money he's got?
You know what? I think that yes, just I think he still wants to be in the limelight. And I think Conor's seen now that MMA fans have a short memory. You're 3 years out of the sport. You're ancient history. I mean, there's people now I can walk around who don't know who I am. MMA fans. Oh, I watched the UFC. Who are you? And I'm like, oh well, next one I fought. That's the world. And that's it. I mean, probably every industry. And so I think that he's young enough at 35. I think he is. Or he's what, 35?
Yeah. I think around there. Yeah, early 30s, kind of mid 30s. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Obviously still capable of getting in there and fighting. And so now with the injuries and the layoffs and time off that he's had, he's seen not being the center of attention, not being the two division champ. He's seen not being the talk of the town. He's had, the sport will pass you by. I don't care how great you are. And so I think that it's not going to be a financial decision. I think that his ego, what made him become Conor McGregor in the first place, that drive to be the center of attention, to be the man, he's going to want that back. And I think the only way he's going to realize to get that back is no matter what you tweet, this and that, there's nothing like being the main event of a fight.
Are you aware of Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight that's in the UFC, won a few weeks ago? People are making comparisons to, that's what I was going to say. What do you think of that people are making comparisons to you, just with being a young guy who's been very successful?
Yeah, no, I think that it's funny. I think I see the resemblance, and and guess what? If someone, at first when it was told that, I checked him out. I was like, oh, okay, that's a compliment. The guy's a really well-rounded fighter you got great submissions so far, which in the heavyweight division is usually very lacking. You're a unicorn if you try to throw up any submission.
Islam Makhahchev, Charles Oliveira, big fight coming up here in October, the rematch. Who do you think wins that fight? Because that's one of the best fights that we're going to be seeing later this year.
I think that the Islam fight is going to go still towards. He was so dominant against Oliveira. I think that's going to be that's hard to overcome as a fighter. When you go in there, you have a sense of confidence. You're like, all right, let's see. You get somebody that runs you over. I mean, it's happened to me in practices before. I've had a guy run me over. It takes you a couple practices against the guy to try to shore that up, because the first couple times you end up changing your game plan. You're not really fighting yourself. You all of a sudden you start overthinking things. Like, okay, well, I really got to focus on this. And then afterwards, someone can look at you and go, well, why did you do what you're good at? Well, it's because he does this. And so fighting somebody who, kicks your ass as one-sided as their first meeting was, I think it's hard to come back from. It wasn't a close fight. I think easy bet, Islam.
Your daughter, Bella, any news on when she's going to be fighting next? I know she's still very young in her career, but any possibilities of her fighting on an upcoming UFL card?
Yeah, no, we were trying. Originally, it was August 12th. She was going to fight. And then I was going to fight because it was enough time off from my surgery that I've healed up, and I want to get back in there. And a couple months ago, we decided that August would be enough time to prepare. And Bella was like, okay, it's over the summer before she starts her sophomore year at Iowa. But her success in wrestling, she won the nationals at U20, so she's now representing the USA national team for the Worlds in Poland. And so since she won it, I was like, oh, so when's that card? Or, when would you wrestle? Now we're going to have to juggle two masters here. And she's like, August 12th to August 19th. I'm like, oh, well, I guess our fight's off, I didn't even think that she would choose fight and drop that for a chance to wrestle at that level. So hopefully by the time that next summer, she explained it to me. Hopefully we'll get her on here so she can explain the details of it. But she's like, well, Dad, don't worry next summer because of the way the scheduling goes, and I'll be free so we can do what we had planned originally, which is for her to get a fight or two over the summer. So wrestle throughout the year, the season, go to school over the summer, come home and train for a fight, which I was, man, even as a father, I was really looking forward to that, to have my daughter back home, you know, to come back from college and now me, her, and her brother was even talking about taking an amateur fight because he's like, no, he's going to be a junior at Gorman and he's already a 2-time state champion, football team and the wrestling team. And so, you know, he's like, oh, I'll do an amateur fight. So I was like, oh, great. The family will be home. We'll all be training together, getting up together, you know, going to the gym together, eating together. I'm like, this is exciting. I was happy. And then that dream was dashed. So not only were we not fighting together, she didn't get to come home either. She trained in Iowa, training for the Worlds.
Is that still a possibility? You think the two of you fighting on the same card together?
Well, if it wasn't for my age, yes. You know, right now, because obviously my training isn't the same as it is when you're getting ready for a fight. My sparring is very easy. My rolling is very lighter, much lighter. You know, and so my workouts and stuff are pretty much health orientated first, fight shape second, third. So right now my body seems great. It's holding up, but I'm no fool. I realize Father Time comes for us all. Right now I feel good. I'm like, oh man, I'm, you know, at 44, I'm still, I don't feel like I'm 44.
There you go.
But you know, next summer I'll be 45. If we don't do it then and pushes off, you know. So really, that's the only thing is, you know, it's like the Grim Reaper sitting there of time.
Right.
If I can beat him to the punch, then yes, we'll fight together. If not, then it gets to a point where I'm gonna look at Bella and be like, babe, you know, I'm like, sorry. You know, I had you at a young age. I thought maybe this would work out, but it just isn't.
Okay, my last question, most important question in this interview. Have you seen that GIF of you bobbing your head? Have you seen this on social media? You're like wearing headphones and you're like bobbing. It looks like you're bobbing to like a beat or something. It's all over the internet. It's been there for years. I don't know if you're aware of this. Maybe I'll show it to you after.
No. Yeah, you have to show it to me because
it's good. It's not like making. It's just like funny. Like it's not like anything mean or anything.
No,
it's kind of like it's kind of like you're just like enjoying something and so people will use that if it's like, hey, good fight announcement, and then like they'll show that GIF of you like bobbing your head like it's almost like you're listening to music or something. So
that's cool. You know, I seen the one that was Frank Mir face.
That too, yeah, I've seen that one as well.
Yeah, that one that was shown to me like a couple of years ago. I was like, the time I was like, what are memes? And they're like, oh, this is. I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, because the first two I thought it was insulting. No, it's funny. It's just, you know, it is what you make of it.
It's part of the internet. Hey, and it's you've had a lot of good highlights as well, not just you know, memes and stuff like that, which is great. It is United Fight League coming up here August 12th in Mesa, Arizona. You got to check it out. Frank, thanks so much for doing this, man. This is great to get a chance to talk to you. If there's anyone you want to thank, anything you want to mention as far as the event or anything else, I'll give you the last word.
No, I mean, hey, everybody, tune in if you guys want to watch this. You know, my commentary will be on the card also. I'll be the commentator with Brian Lacey for UFL 12 on August 12th. And you can check it out on Rumble.